Captain America, Brave New World. Who's brave and what's new? Let's talk about it. Welcome back, Evariant. So we are talking about Captain America: Brave New World, and just so you know, there are spoilers in this. So if you have not watched it or want to watch it without any spoilers, make sure you watch it and then come back and check out this video so you can have my thoughts on everything I think about Captain America: Brave New World. With that being said, let's kind of get right into it. Who's brave? What's new? Honestly, I don't think that the writing team was brave enough to venture outside of standard stuff that was kind of already done. I'm still getting the same vibes from, you know, Captain America Winter Soldier. So it's fight over politics, over, who's right, who's wrong, who's doing this, who's doing that, who's for the people, who's against people, who's trying to get their own selfish motivation and gains. Same old story with that. Again, with having more or less, again, spoilers, mind control at the forefront of how a lot of characters are forced to do certain things that they need to do. Again, it's the same thing. It's just instead of using words, keywords, trigger words, stuff like that, it is, flashing lights, but it's the same kind of thing. I wasn't really feeling it, and while I think the movie itself is just a solid, just a standalone movie, so that it didn't really give me anything that was like, I'm super excited about this. Captain America, Sam Wilson, again, when he got his new suit that we see, like when he got his initial suit, it was kind of like cool. We saw it. He had a little half face thing, and he didn't, you know, he didn't really care for that too much with that. So we got now a full, nanotech type helmet that comes over. He's got the wings, the suit's all updated and stuff. It's like what really comes with it with that, and it's the vibranium wings, and that's it. There is nothing else to the suit outside of vibranium wings and more durable probably material as far as the suit is concerned. But the entire suit is not vibranium from everything that I've seen, which doesn't really lead much because again, you have Sam Wilson having to fight against several enemies, including, super soldier type enemies. And again, all he has is the vibranium. So he's throwing the shield. He's throwing the shield well. His shield combat has vastly improved, and I absolutely love that. But again, it's not enough for me to really be like, yeah, that's really what I want to see. Is like, okay, cool. We're just kind of keep moving. As far as the characters are concerned, Sam, Sam is great. Sam's passion is there. I love the fact that Sam Wilson is still leaning into his counselor type role to help mentor, the new Falcon, Joaquin Torres, as well as help with Isaiah Bradley and some of the stuff that he's dealing with. He's still kind of doing his thing. And again, he's a little bit more confident, but he has those kind of step back, like, three spaces forward, one step back. He has those moments throughout the movie, and that's what kind of, hinders him a little bit. But again, he's trying to be more forward about what does he want, what's for the people. But there's times where he kind of trips up over what needs to be done or if he's good enough. And that's something, again, that's character building. But I kind of thought we got a lot of that out the way during Falcon Winter Soldier. So I kind of don't want too much more of it here, just enough to kind of keep moving. But he's in that mentorship role. So again, he's got to be more confident if he's going to guide someone else, under his wing, literally, to, be a hero as he is. Isaiah Bradley, still just as grounded as ever. Freaking, acting's on point. Carl's acting is fantastic as far as the character is concerned, but again, it's kind of the same thing for him. Again, he's not the way he's introduced was solid so that, but again, he doesn't go much further from there. We do get a little bit more cheer out of him. He's not as grumpy as he was before, but he still kind of has that persona. But again, when you've been through what you've been through, it's understandable. But again, the character still played solidly. Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford has his charisma all over this. He is fantastic. I've seen him play, several characters throughout my lifetime. So that, this is not the first time he's played a president. So, with this being said, he's able to, fill into the role very well, so that you get his his anger and frustration, him taking over for William Hurt, and keeping the character of Thunderbolt, Ross alive. He's doing a very good job so with that, and I've seen a whole lot more of him in the movie than I expected to see, and I was very happy about that. Again, having his concentrate, his having his confrontations back and forth, and him dealing with the stress and rigors of being in his first 100 days as president, having to deal with stuff that involves signing treaties and this celestial island, all this stuff. Like, you see him having to deal with that, and its effect on him and his family is, which is great to see as far as Harrison Ford is concerned. Other characters that play a factor, Ruth, which is a former widow who just happens to be president and one of the heads of security. She kind of relegated to a quick fight scene and not much more than a go-between. Try to say, like, she doesn't get to do much. I don't know what anybody could have filled that purpose, but they specifically mentioned that she was a former widow and all stuff. Is like, and I guess that just was for the fight scene. But yeah, other than that, I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm fine with that. Sidewinder, Giancarlo Esposito being brought in. That was a big, big name. Everybody was trying to figure out who he was going to be, and nobody was able to guess it right off the bat. From my knowledge, nobody ever guessed it until he said what it was. Even when he made an appearance at Dragon Con, was the last year stuff. Like I said, got to see him and stuff like that. It was great. So I was excited to see his character because he is a fantastic actor. We've seen him in so many things, and you'd be surprised how many places you've actually seen him before Breaking Bad. Again, that's just the type of actor he is. But his role was relegated to not much. Again, a couple quick scenes and more or less information is kind of what he provided. And from there, it kind of set up to where he can be a threat later down the line if they want to utilize him that way. But I don't know if they're going to do anything else with him because they didn't really do much with him here. So that's kind of a wait and see, I guess. Again, I've been giving spoilers. Just make sure you know. One of the big bads, which we already know who came back, Stearns. Stearns is back, and it's fantastic to see him back because he is in the role of the leader. Last time we seen him, he got his head hit and he was going through a transformation. The fact is that we actually have that transformation on screen with him, like, getting the big, I won't say it's not like huge hits of, like, like the leader has been depicted and stuff before. But again, he's got that bumpy green noggin and stuff like that. The gamma radiation is flowing through him. Like, we see him being, obviously he's a human think tank, and that's what his whole purpose was. That's how he was utilized. Once he was captured, that's where he utilized, and explains his absence very well, where he's been this entire time. Why hasn't he surfaced? And so simple explanation. Appreciate it. Got it. Don't need nothing else. Cool. And his character was fantastic. The monologues he delivered, his frustration, trying to outthink everything. I mean, he really was outthinking everything. So it was great to see. So overall, the movie is solid. So with that, I would give it a uh I'll go freaking somewhere between 6 and 7, somewhere in there as far as moving it's still moving the story along. We're still getting some stuff that we need to answer because again, we were just kind of looking at Eternals, like what's going on here. We were looking at, okay, what are they gonna do more Captain America? I've had more fun with, Falcon and Winter Soldier than I did with this movie. In a 6-part series, like, again, it was fun. It was more of the action spy thriller, and it really had you kind of on the edge to see what's going to happen, how people are going to react. Everything, the cast is awesome. Here, I don't get as much. We do get a couple cameos with that. Again, Liv Tyler, reprising her role. She's there to see her father and have a conversation. So with that, we've got Bucky makes an appearance, who is on the verge of being, he's what, Congressman, Buchanan, you know, James Buchanan Barnes. So, like, it's great to see him, make an appearance because honestly, I don't think I could have this movie without him making an appearance at all. Because again, he was a big part of when, Sam became, Captain America. So again, it's solid, but nothing that you need to, I guess, rush out and see. That I say, just make sure you see it. I think it's worth seeing it on the big screen, as far as what it is. Now, as far as the recap part, because I've already, sort of, said a few things. Recap a couple things that, kind of bothered me and stuff like that. they did the reintroduction of the character. So they showed some stuff from Incredible Hulk in 2008, and they showed some stuff from Eternals in 2021. More from Incredible Hulk than they did Eternals. Eternals is more or less like, hey, here, look at the guy he came out, versus Incredible Hulk, how Stearns became the leader, how Harlem got broken, all that kind of stuff. So we see all that, and we see, just enough to, this is what happened, carry on. As we go through it, so that again, certain characters were underutilized, which I kind of already, went into, but again, it wasn't anything that was super fashion. Like we didn't see Sidewinder fight until, middle of the movie. It was a very quick fight scene, and that was kind of it. Move on from there. Sam's combat. Sam's combat's great as far as maneuvering and getting better with his shield work. The vibranium wings have been great, but again, his first suit that he had, is made by the Wakandans with that. But again, some guy was able to take a knife and cut through the suit and cut through to Sam's, chest, and he also was able to sustain a broken rib injury, I guess, because of how the fight went. So that further let me know that the suit was not anything more than more or less like standard, suit or some type of, ballistic, protection. But again, there's still a knife that was able to get through it. So I don't know how much protection it actually gave, but we do see later on that his regular clothes were able to keep a wound from happening, I guess, an injury from being as more grievous than what it could have been, thanks to some of the, clothing that he was wearing, which I guess was enhanced in some type of way. They just kind of made a half mention of it and just kind of moved on from there. But the wings were doing great. Wings are able to, cut through a lot of stuff and get some things done. Like he's doing business with it. But outside of that, the wings used for attack and the wings used for protection, which is mainly bolstering a lot of, his movements. And that's one of the problems I had is like if he's going to bring up the wings to block and so with that, and the vibranium basically takes stuff and redirects it. So there's several times where he was getting hit, and he was sliding back and stuff like that. And was that because he didn't have the force with the super soldier serum to kind of take the hits? Like Cap has a serum, obviously, can take the hit, redirect it back. So with that, that shows that Sam Wilson still has not taken any kind of super soldier serum. He admitted to it during the thing that he has not taken any super soldier serum. So he is still affected by certain things, i.e., the wings getting hit, and he's able to still slide on the ground when he gets pushed back. I kind of think with that, if you're using the wings as defensive, you would kind of jam him into the ground or do something to more stabilize yourself. But we don't kind of get that, which that's just kind of common sense for me, I guess. Is what I would say. Um, but yeah, Falcon is learning the ropes and stuff, and during that whole thing, we get that whole mentor relationship where they're trying to figure out what's the best way to, you know, build as a team and make sure they can do everything they need to do. But it doesn't seem like they're operating within any definable branch of government. Captain America answers directly to the president, and that's just it. So, and you see that he's got, instead of having like the A for the Avengers and stuff, he's got stars on this thing, but that's it. And he works with other military branches. He was working with Navy SEALs and other stuff. So he is now at a position where he's above just shield and all that stuff. He's straight to the president. Um, with that being said, freaking there's other things that were bothering me. Freaking the Hulk fight. I thought the Hulk fight was teased very well. You had freaking Ross about to make a transformation at some point, and the fact is that he didn't make that transformation, right away, and it was able to be kind of calmed down, and then it happened later on. And again, it's triggered due to stress. He's dealing with a whole lot, and he's heart's racing, so that build up, and then bam, the transformation kicks in. There was a scene where you know Red Hulk took a flagpole and swung it at Sam with that, and Sam blocked it. It looked like with his hands. And again, I got to go watch the movie again just to read because I'm not able to rewind. But he blocked it with just his hands, and then like the wings, I guess, kind of gave him support. But I didn't see the wings block it or something. I'm like, that would have shattered his whole forearm. So I don't know. Like again, there's little things that I'm kind of looking at, just trying to see how is he going to adapt to being Captain America without having the super soldier serum. So those are things I'm very specifically looking for, because I like the fact that he's the underdog. I like the fact that he doesn't have the powers and he's got to figure out other ways. And you see his combat has improved because of that. His combat has gotten a whole lot better again with his shield work to be able to fight, and he is doing a great job fighting. But again, when he's fighting something that's out of his league, like Red Hulk, so to speak, how is he able to compensate to make sure he stays in the fight? And that's where I'm having issues because again, with all this fight stuff that's going on and everything that happens, it just seems like Sam keeps getting relegated to more conversation and trying to figure out how we can stop this and talking his way out of things as opposed to fighting his way out of things. And again, Steve was always kind of like a blunt instrument. Steve would go in head first and make stuff happen. So it is a different, Captain America, and we got to understand that. So I respect that and I appreciate that. I'm just trying to see how best is it going to work for him. Um, with all this being said, adamantium being, put out into the world, we know that Japan was able to get the adamantium back because that's one of the things that was stolen in the beginning and it was returned. So there's only one sliver, so to speak, of adamantium, and it is in possession of Japan. So we kind of know where that's going as far as you got everything going with Silver Samurai, Wolverine, all that kind of stuff that could happen in that direction. So that's kind of a wait and see what they do because with the whole fight that they had and the response between America and Japan fighting over this island and trying to figure out what's going on with the treaty, don't be surprised with, okay, well, y'all got superheroes and super soldiers. We're going to make sure that we have something too. So that's where that adamantium is probably going to come into play to do whatever they want to do as far as the retelling of their story. But again, not everything's going to be exactly how it is in the comics. So we got to wait and see how they're going to do things and what's going to be different from the movies that we saw with Fox, the movies that we saw with Sony. We got different things that are happening. So kind of strap in and just kind of see where it goes. Um, Again, other than that, as far as like, there's nothing else that really just kind of stood out. It was a, slow trot. Again, you got all this, tech and stuff that you're able to use and you're able to go in with, but you're trying to stay under the radar and do some kind of stealth spy stuff, but it doesn't seem very sneaky. Stearns is like outthinking everybody for the most part. It's just that Sam Wilson it was a wild card the entire time, and that's what kept throwing him off his game. That's one thing he couldn't account for. And I could see that if he doesn't have any data on Sam really being Captain America and what how he is, but he has all the data on Ross and all that kind of stuff because he was setting him up and taking care of his heart condition that he was going to die from, and this is what made him eventually Red Hulk because he's been taking pills and tablets that have been slowly feeding into gamma radiation, which is why he was able to become the Red Hulk. Stearns has set him up to do so. Which, with it being, that easy, it's like, okay, well, now we got Red Hulk, we got Abomination, and we got, Hulk as well as Scar. Yep, we didn't forget about Scar. Scar is still present with bad haircut and all. So, it again, solid movie. Again, stuff I'm not a fan of. I don't know what's coming next either. And again, that's the thing that bugs me is because the end credit scene is more or less Stearns talking and saying that I've done all the calculations, I've seen all the stuff. You're not ready for the others. Like what, kind of like what's coming next. But that's it. We get know what's coming next. We don't have any type of tease as far as what's coming next. It's just that the others. That's what that. And so the only others I can surmise is okay, whatever we got going on in the Thunderbolts with Sentry and Void, more or less. Fantastic Four with Galactus on the horizon is like, what else is coming into play? Is he referring any of those things? Like, is he referring to Galactus, or is there something more? Not quite sure. But if you've been with me this long, I appreciate you hitting that lovely red subscribe button. Again, I got to get some of this stuff out. I watched the movie. I'm going to go watch it probably 3 more times and get as much as I can. Definitely glad to have been here, and I will catch you guys in the next one.